Hey everyone, it's Joe Inger with the Prairie Homestead, and I want to welcome you to our Homestead Remedies with Essential Oils online class. This is one of my favorite topics to speak on, so I'm very excited for the next 45 minutes that we're going to spend together. I also know there's a lot of interest surrounding this topic online and also just in local communities right now. There's a lot of upheaval with our healthcare system. People are looking for options, and I'm extremely excited to share some of my favorite options with you today. First off, a few little notes before we get started. There will be a replay, so if you get interrupted or your internet connection has issues during this class, you'll be getting a link where you can watch the recording later, so don't worry if something happens. Secondly, take a minute to go grab a pen and paper. I am known for having very content-rich classes, and so you're going to want to have a way to jot down notes, ideas, or recipes that you think you'd like to implement around your homestead. Sound good? Okay, let's get started. So, the first thing I like to do when I teach on a topic is set intentions for what you can expect to learn today. So of a few of the things that you're going to know when you walk away from this online class is number one, you're going to know a little bit more about my story. Sometimes I don't go into really deep personal detail on the blog. I do a little bit, but I'm going to give a little more personal details of my journey and how I came to be where I am today. I know when I'm exploring a topic or learning something new, I always love to hear about other people's journeys that mirror my own. Secondly, you're going to get some of my favorite recipes and tips for using essential oils in a remedy form in your home or maybe even in your barn. I reach for these little bottles more than any other natural remedy I've ever used. And that is why I'm so passionate about them, because they really work, and I really, truly use them on a daily basis in my home. We're going to talk about supporting different parts of the body, from the immune system, the respiratory system, digestive, skin, all of that, and some of my favorite recipes and tips that go along with those body systems. And then lastly, it'd be pretty rude of me to talk about how cool oils are without telling you how to get them in your home without breaking the bank. So at the end, I'm going to show you how I purchase my oils for really good prices at a wholesale discount, and how I get free oils and stuff in the process. So that'll be at the end. Make sure you stick around for that. Sound good? Alrighty, so let's first off, I want to tell you a little bit more about my story. So this is me and my family. I'm a wife, a mom of three, a modern day homesteader, a blogger, and a business owner. So these are our three children. We have a 1-year-old, she just turned 1. The little boy, Prairie boy, he turned 4, and Prairie girl is 6. And so we live out on the wide open spaces, out in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming. We live in the southeast corner, and in the small community that we're next to, there truly are more cows than people. So it's very rural, it's semi-isolated. There's not a Walmart next door or a grocery store or anything like that. And so we love it though. We love being away from town. We love having options and freedom and wide open spaces, and so it's really been a wonderful fit for us. Now, I wasn't always a homestead girl. I kind of always wanted to be a country girl, but I definitely wasn't born into it. So after my husband and I got married about 10 years ago, I started getting really interested in natural things, and I wanted to grow my own food and get more animals and raise our own vegetables and our own meat and our own dairy products. And so that was this journey for me, and that really brought me to where I am today. But even when I was interested in milk cows and canning and gardening, I was still pretty conventional or skeptical, if you will, about natural things or organic claims or things like that. So it took me a while to shift. You fast forward 15 years ago, you would not, who I was then is not who you would have expected to turn into a natural blogger girl or a homestead girl or even someone who even had essential oils in their house, period. I grew up very conventionally. I had the standard American diet growing up. We ate lots of processed food, lots of soda pop and hot dogs and ramen noodles. If we had a sniffle, we went right to the doctor to get antibiotics. And so it was not a very natural, aware lifestyle. Funny little fact, some of you probably don't know this. My dad's profession as I was growing up was that he was actually a farm chemical salesman, believe it or not. And so, he sprayed everything in our yard, whether it was a dandelion or a thistle or just whatever, he sprayed it. We had every chemical you can imagine in our garage. To this day, he actually still loves using those chemicals. He still sprays everything. So as you can imagine, that makes for some interesting conversations at holidays, but it's all good. He knows we've taken this path for a reason. We get along for the most part. Anyway, so that was my childhood. It was very conventional, even maybe swinging more toward the side of very much non-organic and almost hostile towards organic methods. Okay, so when I started hearing about essential oils about 5 years ago, I had the same reaction that probably many of you had, or maybe you still have, as like, surely this is too good to be true. In fact, this was kind of my mental perception. Snake oil, right? How many times have we heard that? Oh, that's just snake oil. Funny fact, snake oil was actually a thing, I believe back in the 1800s. It was one of those traveling salesman things that was actually marketed. I think it had some very interesting ingredients, but it was a real thing. I don't believe it was very effective, but that's where we get that saying, snake oil. So when I first heard about these essential oils, I did think they were snake oil. And back then, which really wasn't that long ago, it was only 5 years ago, essential oils were not near as mainstream as they are now. There was no education out there. Very few people were talking about them. And, you'd say something about an essential oil and people would be like, was that like a vegetable oil, or what are you talking about? I don't understand. Whereas these days, you say essential oil and people are like, hey, yeah, I have peppermint or I have lavender. But back then, the overall attitude towards them was very much different, and they were still a very unknown item for the most part. So I had this friend, she was getting into oil, she shared an oil with me. I was kind of interested, but I thought, I just don't believe it works. I don't see how they could work. And so I put her off and kind of ignored her and didn't really listen to what she was saying for a long time. Until one day she shared a sample with me. And it took me a little while, but I finally opened the lid and tried the oil. And that got my attention. Why? Because I got results from that oil. We used a respiratory blend called Breathe. And its name is very telling of what it does. It helps you have clearer, freer airways. And so I used that on my husband, I used it on myself, and I instantly felt a difference. And I thought, that's strange. Surely it's a coincidence, right? Well, I kept trying because I am a little bit curious by nature, kept trying, kept experimenting. And after about 10 experiences, I concluded, probably not a coincidence. And so that set me on my journey to really learn more about oils and figure out how to actually use them effectively in my life and not just have a bottle in the cupboard and use it once every 6 months. Because in my mind, that really doesn't give you much benefit at all. So if you fast forward to where I am today, the skeptical girl who grew up on hot dogs and ramen noodles is now, I have blogging as a profession, and I also share oils as a profession in addition to blogging. And I've had the privilege of working with thousands of people over the course of the last several years through the blog and locally to get oils into their home and help them learn how to use them. And the reason I do this is because of these people in part and the stories they have. So this is just a very small portion of the people on my essential oil team, some of the people I've worked with, and some of the people they brought into this whole exciting movement. But they have amazing stories. And you're going to hear me talk a little bit vaguely tonight on certain topics. And that's not because I can't, or I don't have stories, or I don't have amazing transformations that these oils brought into being. But the FDA regulates what I can say publicly about oils and their effectiveness. They're not a drug. They don't have labeling as a pharmaceutical, nor do we want them to. But for that reason, the FDA says, hey, you can't say the oil cures this or heals this or is associated with any sort of disease. So for that reason, I can't share some of these people's stories with you today in this setting. I can share them privately with you if you were interested, but let me just say they have amazing stories that they have dealt with some very serious problems and have found solutions and choices with essential oils. So that means to me they're not snake oil. These work. They're worth getting into your home. They're worth spending the time to learn about. And working with these people has been some of the most rewarding work I've ever done, okay? And that is why I am teaching you tonight, because I want you to have that option and that choice to know that you have possibilities and you're not stuck in a system that I think is very broken and needs massive transformation, okay? Alrighty, so that's a little bit about essential oils in general, but what about homesteading? So I titled this webinar Homestead Remedies. And why do essential oils go so well with homesteading? In my opinion, there's no better homesteader's tool, okay? In fact, I've had a few people email me and say, come on, stop talking about oils, you're a homesteading blog. They have nothing to do with homesteading. And I'm like, no, really, they have everything to do with homesteading. And let me break that down for you. So first off, essential oils are straight from a plant. And I don't know about you, but every homesteader I know, we love plants. I'm not saying I grow them perfectly because I have a brown thumb, but we like plants, we like eating plants, we like growing plants, we like tending to plants. Plants are powerful, and essential oils are straight from a plant, or they should be. If you're using a good quality oil, all you should have in those bottles is just plant, distilled plant matter. You shouldn't have any chemicals or any icky things or anything like that. The second reason I think essential oils are the perfect homesteading tool is because they're frugal. And if you've priced oils, you might be saying, come on, Jill, you're crazy. They don't seem frugal to me. But I invite you to think of this from a different perspective. A dose for an essential oil is around 1 drop, okay? Rarely are you going to use more than 1 or 2 drops at a time unless you're making a recipe of sorts, because they are so potent. Now, peppermint oil, where I get it for wholesale, is $20 a bottle. And in that bottle, there are 250 drops approximately. So if you're looking at price per drop, that's 8 cents. I don't know anything that's 8 cents a dose other than essential oils. That's very affordable and very reasonable in my opinion. And as a homesteader, I love being able to invest in them and then get the benefits for a very long time out of one little bottle. The third reason I think that essential oils are perfect for homesteaders is because you can use them for a million different things. I use oils for cooking, for my animals, for cleaning, for the health reasons you're going to hear about tonight. I use them in place of candles, everything in between. And I love having one bottle that can have 5 different actions on my homestead. So peppermint, for example. Peppermint is good for respiratory support, digestive support, it's good for tension, it's good for waking you up. You can add it to recipes, it's great for cleaners, and so on. And that's one item that can be used for all those different things. So when I think of it like that, I think every homesteader needs to have oils in their arsenal, okay? So now you know my story, you know why essential oils are essential to homesteaders. Now let's dive into some of the nitty-gritty of oils and why you came here today. So first off, I always like to clarify that essential oils are nothing new. They're really something that have been around for a very long time. Now, okay, let me backtrack a minute on that. That is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. Sometimes you'll hear things or people say things like essential oils in the Bible, or they use essential oils all over in the Bible times. And that's sort of true and sort of not true. Yes, people have used plants, extracts, tinctures, and things like that for thousands of years, since the beginning of time, to give us all sorts of benefits. However, essential oils like we have them today, which are distilled plants in a bottle with steam extraction or cold pressing, we didn't quite have that technology back in Bible times. So you didn't have little brown bottles of essential oil floating around. However, they did have the actual components like frankincense, myrrh, cedarwood, spikenard. You're going to see all those things in biblical history as well as all different manners of other history. So, essential oils are nothing new. Using plants for medicine is nothing new. This has been happening for thousands and thousands of years. However, I truly believe that this is some information that our culture and our time has lost, and it's kind of being resurrected on knowing what plants are good for what things. Of course, there's always been people in the culture who have safeguarded that information, but to the vast majority of people, we've really not been aware of that. And I love that essential oils are becoming more mainstream. So your average person, which was me, I really was just your average person. I didn't grow up with a mom who knew about herbs or medicinal properties of plants. But even someone like me can use plants and get the benefits from that and feel confident in using them for my family. So that is really powerful for me. So what are essential oils? Well, this might be review for some of you, but just in a definition, just basic definition, essential oils are natural aromatic compounds found in the seeds, flowers, bark, rind, or leaves of plants. So it's just plants. Then those plant pieces are extracted through cold pressing in the case of citrus, or steam distilled for all sorts of benefits. Essential oils contain various chemical constituents that are naturally found in various levels. And these constituents are what really have these powerful effects on both the human body as well as animals, pests, plants, you name it. Now, using plants in a medicinal capacity is truly not new as far as history goes, but even in modern medicine, many drugs are created by isolating pieces or the chemical constituents of a plant and using them in solo, using them all by themselves. Now, the reason that can cause some issues is those constituents, when you're using them in the whole piece of the plant, you've got all the other parts of the plant to help counteract and counterbalance what's going on. And when we pull that out, that one piece, and reproduce it synthetically, things can get out of balance, and sometimes it gives us benefits, but it can also give us side effects and all of that. And so I love using the whole plant that's just distilled in a bottle because you have a lot less of those funky things happening in the process. Okay, so I want to address the elephant in the room right now because I know some of you are wondering. You know there are many companies to choose from, and some of you are wondering if I have a company I like, and I do. And I am going to tell you what that company is because, let me tell you why. There is a lot of dishonesty in the essential oil industry. And you can go to your big box store in your town and buy a little bottle that says 100% lavender, and there is no guarantee it's 100% lavender. And you might go use it. You might go use it in some of the ways I tell you tonight, and you're going to go, man, this doesn't work. This isn't giving the results that Jill said it would give, and I think this is a bunch of bunk. I don't think these work. The reason it's important to choose the company and the brand of essential oils, and this is not just hype, guys, it matters because you need to know what you're using is what it says it is. If it says lavender on the bottle and you're expecting lavender and the constituents of lavender to give you a specific benefit, you need to be able to know that's what's really in there. And you're not using something that's lavendin or some fake oil or some adulterated oil or some substituted oil. And that does happen. I'm not making it up. I've seen the test results. Everyone has essential oils these days, even Walmart. I was in TJ Maxx last week and saw a whole bunch of oils on their clearance bargain bin shelf, okay? Like $2 a bottle. I have no idea what was in that bottle, but it was dirt cheap. And I'm willing to bet it probably wasn't real essential oil or wasn't what it said it was. So yes, if you're going to use the recipes I give you tonight, you need to know the oils you're using are really what they say they are. Now, I use doTERRA oils. I've used doTERRA oils for 4 years, over 4 years. I've looked at lots of other companies, and I continue to go back to doTERRA. And I'm going to tell you why in just a few minutes. I'm not going to draw this out, but I need you to know this, and I need you to listen because it is important. First off, doTERRA is committed to sourcing the best oils in the world direct from the grower. They're also committed to ethical sourcing practices. This is huge. It's huge. There's a lot of dishonesty, deception, and icky things that happen in the essential oil industry with middlemen. They don't pay farmers fair wages. It's just not good. If you've ever purchased or researched fair trade coffee or ethically grown chocolate, it's the same thing where when an essential oil is ethically sourced, it makes sure the farmer is getting a fair wage and everyone is getting what they need to produce the highest quality oil possible. I've heard many stories from the owners of doTERRA because they go into these, many of them are third world countries and these communities that are impoverished and work with these growers. And the stories they have of being able to pay them fairly, pay them ahead of time so they have the resources to feed their families is very powerful. So I want to point out these pictures to you just quickly and tell you why I chose them. This is my husband and I on a couple trips. So the picture of me on the left is in a field of lemon balm or Melissa. This is in Bulgaria. We had the privilege of going to Bulgaria with doTERRA in June, and we got to see where lavender is grown and where Melissa is grown. The reason they chose Bulgaria is twofold. First off, the Mediterranean climate is perfect for growing high quality essential oils, okay? So this is Melissa. It's very difficult to grow. It's very fragile. It needs to be distilled almost immediately after it's harvested. And for that reason, we haven't had a lot of Melissa in stock lately because the crops were just not up to par. So doTERRA went to Bulgaria to plant Melissa, to work with the growers there, to build a distillery there. And that brings us to the second reason they chose Bulgaria is because of the economy. It's a very depressed economy in Bulgaria. And I never paid attention to that before, I'm sad to say. When we got there, we could just sense the heaviness of the country. They're still reeling from the effects of communism. There's not a lot of economy. The people don't smile. The people don't laugh. It's just a heavy feeling. And by bringing in this industry into Bulgaria and working with the farmers and making sure they get paid fairly, they're giving people opportunity. They're creating jobs. They're creating employment. And the people we saw and we spoke with while we were there were just ecstatic. And so I know when I'm purchasing a bottle of essential oil, it's not only helping my family, but it's helping another person's family. I know the oil is ethically grown, and I love that. I feel so good about investing in these oils for that reason. The other part of doTERRA that I love is their commitment to purity. Every batch of oil undergoes at least 7 different tests by a third-party lab. A lot of companies only test in-house. We send our oils out to a third-party lab and have them tell us to make sure the oils are pure. The oils are tested to make sure they don't contain heavy metals, chemicals, pesticides, adulterants, anything weird. That's not going to be in a doTERRA oil. It's going to be what it says it is. And for those of you who've ever tried a maybe bargain brand of oil from the health food store or a brand that you bought off Amazon, you know that the doTERRA oils smell different, they work differently, they're more potent, and you can tell the difference when you take off the lid. It's very substantial. And then lastly, I love doTERRA because the culture of this company is unsurpassed with any other organization I've ever been a part of. I know the owners personally. I've spent time with them. I've spent time with the top leaders in this company. I trust them. They have integrity, they have character, and they have servant leadership, and that is the type of organization I like to be a part of. So that's why I choose doTERRA. You're going to hear me reference a few doTERRA specific blends or products tonight. If you don't use doTERRA, that's fine. You can still get some good recipes and ideas from tonight's webinar, but I am referencing those because that is truly what I use, and that's truly what works for me. But you will still get good information from my ideas regardless of what brand. But I encourage you, look into doTERRA, do your homework. They're a great company to partner with. They're a great company to get oils from all the way around. Alrighty, so let's get into some of the specifics. First off, just for the newbies, you've never used oils before, you're a little bit unsure, what are the 3 ways to use essential oils? We're going to go through this quickly. First off, aromatic. You can use oils in a diffuser. You can take the lid off and smell them. That's going to be using oils aromatically. Aromatic usage is very safe. In my opinion, it's almost foolproof. It's very cost effective because you can put 4 drops of oil into a diffuser and it makes the whole room smell good and helps everyone in the room. So a little bit goes a long way. super effective. We use aromatic usage for cleansing the air, making the air smell better in my house. If someone is under the weather, we put oils in the diffuser to help them or help the people around them. Lots of ways to use oils aromatically. Second, you can use oils topically. If you need an oil somewhere on your body, put it there. Now, there are a few exceptions, okay? First off, don't ever put oils in your eyeballs. I've actually seen recommendations from a company online to put oils in eye drops and put it in your eyes. Please, please do not do that. Very bad idea. If you've ever accidentally done it, you know why it's a bad idea. I don't even have to tell you. They burn. Your eyes are sensitive and oils are potent and they burn. Not going to make you go blind, but really uncomfortable. Not a good idea. Don't put them up your nose or drip them into your ears. Those have sensitive structures inside, and the potency of the oils is too much for those structures. So keep them out of those sensitive spots. You can also dilute oils. It's never going to hurt you to dilute oils. So if you're using an oil that's spicy, like oregano or cinnamon, or even peppermint for some people, you can dilute it. Now, there are different measurements online for how much you should dilute. To be honest, I don't measure hardly anything, so I eyeball it. Now, for a child, I might put the equivalent of a teaspoon of oil in my hand, and let me clarify that. A carrier oil. So a carrier oil is what you're going to dilute with. I got ahead of myself. A carrier oil can be any sort of vegetable oil, like almond oil, apricot oil, jojoba oil, coconut oil is everybody's favorite. So you use one of those fatty vegetable oils, and then you add a drop or two or whatever of essential oil into that. That dilutes it. That keeps it from evaporating, actually, because oils evaporate quickly. And you can apply that to the skin if you're dealing with a child or someone with extra sensitive skin, or you're using a super spicy oil. Again, I don't measure, I eyeball it, so I'll add maybe like a teaspoon of carrier oil in my hand or in a bowl or whatever, and then I'll add a couple drops of essential oil into that and then apply it. You can also dilute oils in roller bottles. So it's really easy to get empty roller bottles. You can fill them up partially with your carrier oil and then add your essential oil in with that. So lots of options. The last way to use essential oils is internally. Now this is a topic of debate online, and I tell people if you're not comfortable using oils internally, then don't. You can still get great benefits aromatically or topically. Do I take oils internally? Yes, I do sometimes. Some of you might be gasping in horror, some of you might be whatever. I'm just going to say it. I do use oils internally, and I'm not ashamed of it because they work. I don't chug bottles at a time. I don't use them recklessly. I'm very cautious and careful with how I use them internally, but they do provide me benefits that I don't get any other way. Make sure if you are taking oils internally, they're pure oils. They're good oils, because using the cheapo oils internally, I have no idea what that's going to do, because who knows what's in there. So make sure it's an oil that you trust and it's pure if you're going to use them internally in small amounts. Remember, everything is small amounts with essential oils because it's potent. Start with a drop and go from there. I've talked to a couple people who they weren't educated before they started, and they thought their idea of a dose was 10 or 20 drops, whether it was topically or internally or whatever, and that's not usually going to give you a good result. In fact, it can be too much of a good thing. That's a very real possibility with essential oils. So less is more. Start with a little bit and then go from there. Alrighty, let's talk about some specific remedies. So again, you're going to see me be slightly vague because of our lovely friend, the FDA. And there's certain words I can't say. As silly as that is, as much as I don't like it, that's just how it goes. And so there's certain terms that you're not going to hear me say. So I'm going to let you put the pieces together, okay? So these are some of our favorite bug remedies, not flying insect bugs, okay? The other type of bugs, the kind that you get when you go into a crowd, or your kids bring home from school, or you get when you're just under the weather a little bit. Your immune system needs a little boosting, okay? That type of bug. So to maintain proper body temperature, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay? When you're feeling overheated in relation to being under the weather. Now, I'm not someone who is a huge fan of, I'm just going to say it, fever. I'm not a huge, sorry, I can't help it. I'm not a huge fan of breaking fevers all the time, because I think a fever is your body's natural defense in trying to heal itself, because our bodies heal themselves, right? That's what we're doing, is supporting that process. And so I'm not someone who takes an ibuprofen or takes a Tylenol to try to break a fever, because I think to a certain extent, we need that heating of the body to help fight off the bug. However, if I have a kid, or sometimes you just feel miserable, you just feel hot. So we'll add some diluted peppermint or frankincense and rub that in topically to someone's back or the bottoms of their feet to provide some relief. It doesn't always make it go away, but it provides relief and provides some cooling, and it supports the body's immune system in the process, okay? What about the scratchiness of the throats? We actually just got over this at our house a couple weeks ago. What do we do for that? So one option is gargling with On Guard. On Guard is doTERRA's immunity blend, and all it is a blend of wild orange, rosemary, eucalyptus, cinnamon, and clove. Okay, so 5 herbal oils. Those herbal oils all have reputations for being great for your soothing and your immune system. And the clove is known to have sort of a numbing effect. One favorite old-time remedy is if you have a toothache, you put a clove, an actual clove, the herb, pack it next to your toothache, and that helps numb it, because the clove just has that natural numbing action. So On Guard has clove in it, and you can gargle with it if you have a scratchy throat. I don't recommend that for kids, because On Guard has a little bit of a spicy kick, and gargling in kids is usually a disaster in my experience. So little kids, avoid that one, but for adults, gargle with that to help soothe the scratchiness. You can also try 1 drop of lemon oil into 1 tablespoon of raw honey. Lemon and honey is a great combo. Sometimes people do lemon and honey in tea. So you can just do lemon essential oil into 1 tablespoon of raw honey, and just take that. The honey is soothing. Honey has antimicrobial action anyway, and so the lemon oil just boosts that. And then overall immune boosting. This is what we do, like clockwork. If someone comes home with something, or we have been exposed to something, I am running my diffuser like crazy. I put On Guard in my diffuser, the immunity blend. I put frankincense in there. I put all sorts of things in my diffuser, and we run it nonstop. We run it in our bedroom, we run it in our living room, and just everybody gets the benefits of that in the air. Another way you can boost your immune system is to apply diluted oregano or On Guard topically. Now, if you're going to use oregano, it's a wonderful, powerful oil, but it's spicy. So please, please, please dilute it. You're going to want to add it with a carrier oil, and don't put it on your skin unless you use a carrier oil, because it'll burn, okay? But it's great for boosting your immune system, and you can use that before if you've been exposed. You can use it during an issue. You can use it if someone in your family has an issue and you don't want to get it. That's a great way to support your immune system, okay? So you can see the trend here is On Guard. Frankincense is great. Just some of the oils I have on hand that we use, and I use as my home remedies for bugs, okay? Feeling under the weather. What about respiratory? Respiratory is actually one of the things that brought me into oils, because we've dealt with some heavy-duty respiratory stuff at our house. So what do we do for that? The first one, diffuse. You gotta have a diffuser. If you haven't figured that out yet, you gotta have one. We run our diffuser a lot, especially with respiratory stuff going on. So when my husband, he's very susceptible to respiratory issues, I will put oils in his diffuser and run it beside his bed nonstop all night long. Some of the oils I will use for that: rosemary, lemon, frankincense, peppermint. You can do one of those. You can do a mixture of those. If you don't have one, just omit it. Try the others. And then my favorite is the Breathe blend, because it has a bunch of oils in it. It has a bit of a minty kick. It has some cardamom. It has oils that are known to help with respiratory support, like eucalyptus and lemon and so on. So you can just put the Breathe blend in your diffuser and call it good, okay? And that's great to diffuse in your living spaces and bedrooms when someone in your family is having that respiratory gunk going on. Okay, so this second idea, Please don't laugh at me, okay? I know this sounds bizarre, but trust me, I just learned this not too long ago. I've never shared it before on the blog, but it totally works. So I have to tell you, even if you think I'm insane, okay? I'm totally putting myself out there on this one. Okay, so here's what you do. So I used to tell people to put a drop or two of Breathe if they're having trouble. Put a drop or two of Breathe in their palms, rub their hands together, and then cup their hands over their mouth and take a breath. It works. It's okay. It kind of works. But I never had like really good results from that. I don't know why. So I learned this little trick instead. Okay, bear with me. It sounds weird, but just try it. It works. Okay, so if we're dealing with respiratory stuff, wheezy, tightness, whatever, I put the respiratory blend or Breathe, or you could do frankincense, peppermint, rosemary, whatever, on your hands, 1 to 2 drops. Rub your hands together. Okay, now I didn't have time to put a picture of this on the slide, so really visualize this with me. Hold one hand flat, make your palm flat. Put your other hand in a fist, okay? Now put the fist on top of the flat hand, kind of like you're doing rock, paper, scissors. And you'll notice that in the middle of your fist is a hole, right? You have where your fingers come together. So kind of make a little straw. So just open your fingers so you have a quote unquote straw made from your fist. Now put your mouth over that hole, the straw that you made with your fist, and inhale slowly and deeply. I don't know why, but this works 1,000 times better than the cupping of your hands, okay? Maybe I'll do a video on Facebook of this one day when I get up the nerve to deal with people making fun of me. I actually was teaching a live essential oil class in person in my town last week, and I gave everyone a drop of Breathe, and I had them try this, and they were laughing at me, but they all said, hey, this worked. This totally worked. So I challenge you, try it. See what you think, okay? It works. So another way I use oils for respiratory support is to make a DIY chest rub. You can buy chest rubs. This is one you can make yourself. Very simple. I'm just going to run through it quickly. You take a 1/4 ounce of beeswax and a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. You melt those gently in a small pan over low heat. Mix them, stir them, takes a little while, they melt, okay? Remove it from the heat and set aside for 5 to 10 minutes to let it cool a little bit. While it's still liquid, put 10 drops of eucalyptus, 10 drops of peppermint, and 10 drops of frankincense and stir it around, okay? Then pour into a small container. You can use one of those teeny little mason jars that people put jam in, like the teeny ones. Can't remember what they're called, the teeny ones. Put that in there, let it set up, and then you'll have a salve that's great for respiratory support. And then you can put that on your chest, you can put it on your feet, wherever you would put the other types of chest rubs that you might purchase. This is a great substitute, and these oils are wonderful for respiratory support, okay? Good little solid recipe there. Alrighty, what about digestive stuff? Okay, it happens. It totally happens. So oils have saved my bacon more than once. I don't know about you, but I think possibly one of the most horrible feelings in the world is when you're in a deep sleep and all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, I gotta get to the bathroom or I am going to throw up everywhere. And it's just that your tummy is rumbling, it might be hurting, and you're just like, it's a horrible feeling. It can happen from food, it can happen from bugs, it can happen from whatever. I hate that feeling. And essential oils have saved me many times when I've woken up like that. So what do? There's 2 oils in particular that are the kings of digestive support, and they are peppermint. If you've ever had peppermint tea, you know, it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful digestive remedy. Or the Digest Zen blend from doTERRA has peppermint in it and a whole bunch of other herbs that are traditionally used to support digestive health. Anise and tarragon, and I can't even remember all of them at this point. So you can rub those on topically to your tummy, put peppermint on your tummy. My kids know that they go get our Digestin roller when they have a tummy issue. They go get it, we rub it on, and within a few minutes it's gone. Nausea, peppermint is also your best friend. I have horrible morning sickness when I'm pregnant. In fact, if you've been following my blog very long, you know that my blogging disappears when I have morning sickness because I just cannot do it. I'm very, very just laid out. Peppermint is great to smell. when you have morning sickness or even just regular nausea, just you can inhale it, just take a deep breath. I just like straight up peppermint tea for a tummy that's kind of doing cartwheels in there. Peppermint, again, it's your best friend. Constipation, this is supposed to say digest zen, not digestion. Autocorrect there. So apply the digest zen blend. You can put some lemon or peppermint or all three on your stomach and rub in a clockwise motion, okay? And that can help get things moving. This brings me to a side note about lemon and actually all citrus oils. So, a little safety note about citrus oils. They can make your skin more susceptible to sunburn. They can cause photosensitivity. So, I use citrus oils topically all the time, but I make sure if I am using them topically, I'm not putting them on an area that's going to be exposed to a lot of sun. I'm guessing if you're constipated, you're not going to go like sunbathing with your belly hanging out, so I think you're safe in this aspect. But let's say you wanted to put, like, you love lemon oil, you love how it smells, and so you rub it all over your neck and your shoulders and then go outside and work in the garden all day, you're going to get kind of crispy. So just don't put citrus oils on your skin unless the skin is covered or you're not going outside. A little side note, but I have seen some icky burns from people who didn't know that and went outside anyway. Okay. Alrighty, owies. That is the technical term, by the way. I don't know if the FDA likes that, but that's what I'm calling them. This happens a lot between my kids and my animals. I'm always putting something somewhere on people or animals. Just a couple weeks ago, my good horse, my horse I ride all the time, got a bad injury on her hind leg, and we've been dealing with that and working with that and using some oils in the process to help that process. But I'm always fixing someone. Just last night, my husband came in late. He was out working in the shop and said, can you help me? And he held up his finger and he tried to cut off his fingernail. You know how guys do on accident when they're working on stuff. And so we had to doctor that up and put stuff on it to keep it clean and to soothe it. So I do this a lot. So some of my tips for owies. You can make a salve. You can use a similar base that we use for the chest rub, where it's using coconut oil and beeswax. And you can add things like lavender, frankincense, helichrysum, which is a very powerful oil, or things like cedarwood. These are all great skin oils. They're good for soothing and supporting skin. And you can make a salve and put those oils in there, and that's wonderful. Like for animals especially, if you've seen my udder balm recipe on the blog, that's a similar type of deal, where I use these type of oils in a homemade salve and put that all over cuts and scrapes and stuff like that. Very, very handy to have around. You'll use it a ton. For soothing, or I can't say this word that I want to say, but if you want something on your skin to improve and you need to soothe it, I can't say the word I want to say, sorry, use frankincense or lavender. They're great for promoting that natural process of the body that the body does when it's making something better, okay? Sound like an idiot saying that, but that's what I have to say. So frankincense or lavender are great for putting on skin, any skin, all kinds of skin. Even, you burn yourself in the kitchen or whatever. Lavender is wonderful for that, okay? Cleansing an area. Last night when my husband came in, we needed to cleanse before we put a Band-Aid on. We use Melaleuca. Melaleuca is very cleansing. It's anti-everything, and it's wonderful. It's also known as tea tree oil. So if you're going, what's Melaleuca? I've never heard of that. It's known as tea tree oil, and I'm betting that you know what tea tree oil is. And remember, these are great animal and people crossovers. I've doctored chickens, dogs, horses, cows, goats with these oils and these remedies, and they work great. My one little tip, if you're going to use oils on an animal, give the animal a chance to smell it first. They almost always, in my experience, like it, but I have had a few animals, like I had one dog in particular who did not like the smell, and she'd be like, get that away from me, I don't want it. And I try to respect that, because I know I wouldn't want someone putting something on me that I just couldn't stand how it smelled. So ask the animal, and then they'll give you the go ahead, and you can use it on them. Okay, I believe this is our last one of my remedy list, muscles and joints. I know you homesteaders are a hard-working bunch. You're digging post holes, you're cleaning out the chicken coop, you're planting in the garden, you're doing all sorts of things around your barnyard and your yard, and your muscles and your joints take a beating. So a few ways to soothe them. A bath, just a soak in the tub. It's one of the best things after a long day. So warm water, use some Epsom salts. If you're a homesteader, you gotta have Epsom salts on hand. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Add frankincense and lavender, like 4 drops of each, to a half a cup of Epsom salts. Dissolve it in your hot bath and then just soak in there for 20 to 30 minutes. Very soothing to muscles and joints. For relief, just providing your muscles and joints relief after a hard day when they're sore and they're tired. Peppermint's wonderful. Marjoram, believe it or not, is a great oil for that. Or doTERRA's Deep Blue Blend. I have turned more essential oil skeptics into believers with Deep Blue than anything else. That is just amazing. And you can rub it in. If you're going to be massaging anything into a muscle, definitely dilute it with a carrier oil, because you need it to cover a large area and you're going to want to be able to really knead it into the muscle. And so get your carrier oil out, put a couple drops of peppermint or deep blue or whatever, and rub it in, and it really does provide relief. Probably going to need to do it more than once or twice. Keep doing it consistently, but you will see a change. And then muscle cramps. When you just pull that, it just has that Charlie horse thing. Lavender is wonderful. My daughter, every once in a while, will wake up with those growing pains that kids get. They're just so weird, but it just is a reality of childhood. She'll wake up crying in the middle of the night, and we get the lavender out, put that on, and she goes right to sleep. No problem. In fact, I'll even put a little roller. She's 6 years old, and she's really responsible. So I'll put a little roller that's heavily diluted next to her bed and away from her little siblings. She knows if she wakes up and she's panicking in the middle of the night with her cramps in her legs, she can use that. And she has options and she has solutions. And that always helps her sleep better. Alrighty, guys. So, as we wrap things up, I just want to say and reiterate that I'm a big fan of balance, and I am not against modern medicine. So lest you're sitting here listening to me and thinking that I hate hospitals, or I don't like doctors, or I think it's all bad, I don't. And I've really seen both sides of the pendulum as far as this goes. Here's my little pendulum graphic, okay? So on one side of this, on one side of the pendulum, we've had some serious issues in our family that required intervention of modern medicine, and I'm so, so thankful we had it. My son last year got a very serious eye infection, and without immediate intervention from his doctor and having a course of antibiotics, he would have lost his eye. So I'm so thankful we had that, and I'm very, very thankful I don't live in the little house on the prairie days where people did lose eyes or limbs or their lives over simple infections or simple problems. I'm so grateful we do have these advancements. I'm grateful for penicillin. I'm grateful for these options that we have when we need them. However, I've also seen the other side of the pendulum, and I would keep my pendulum swinging, but I think it might make everybody go cross-eyed, so I stopped it. My grandpa is a really good example of the other side of the pendulum. He grew up in the Great Depression, and like many folks who grew up in that era, they got to see a lot of medical advancements happen in their lifetime. It's exciting. He probably saw people die in his family or acquaintances from simple things. And then when modern medicine came on the scene, like it did, and they had options, it was exciting. So as a result, he thought it was awesome. And he looked to medication for everything. And what that resulted in for him, that he never questioned, and he never did his own research, and he never used anything else other than what he was told to use, told to do. He had a surgery in the 70s that was not necessary, but it was kind of their best guess at the time. And he happily signed on and went under this surgery. And then as a result, he had a very poor quality of life for the next 30 years. And I grew up watching my mom be his caretaker. And I grew up in in hospital waiting rooms, waiting for him to come out of surgery, or waiting for him to deal with the side effect of the side effect of the side effect of the side effect of the 10 different medications he was on. And it was hard to watch. It was this domino effect that truly destroyed his quality of life. And so I've seen both sides. And what I want is common sense with options. I crave options. So the problem I see is that most people are stuck on the pendulum swinging hard, either in the direction of modern medicine or knowing they want nothing to do with modern medicine, but they don't know what to use instead. And they don't have the options or solutions they need when they want balance. And I'm guessing this describes some of you listening today. The other issue I see is that when people start exploring natural options, you start Googling, which is a scary thing, right? Google can lead you down many rabbit trails. You get overwhelmed. There's so much out there. This person says, do this. It's a miracle cure. The next person reads says, don't do that. It will kill you. Use herbs, use oils, use colloidal silver, use coconut oil, use magnesium, use this, use that. I'm like, what? Who do you listen to? What do you follow? And I see people actually reading all this, spending a lot of time, and then just giving up because they're so overwhelmed. And I hate when that happens because they didn't get the resolutions they were seeking. And then they stay in the rut without their options, and they never get that feeling of empowerment. So that's not what I want for you. You listening here today, you who spent the time to sit in this class with me, I don't want that for you. Our essential oils, are they a miracle solution? No, they're not. But they have created empowerment for me more than anything else I've ever tried. And I want you to be able to have those same options I have. And for the many people who've already joined me and that I've helped over the years get started with essential oils, it truly has made all the difference. So do I have your permission to share with you briefly how you can work with me like all the other people have to get these solutions? Awesome. Okay. So the question that comes up constantly is how to get good oils for the best prices, like without breaking the bank. I know you want solutions, but I know you guys can't afford outrageous prices. And I get this question via email all the time. So yes, Walmart has oils. Yes, TJ Maxx has oils. I'm betting the dollar store will have oils soon. But I'm going to be very bold and say they are not what they say they are. And you will not have the same results with those oils. It is truly apples and oranges. And that's not marketing hype, guys. That's science. You can prove it with the testing results. They are not the same thing. I trust doTERRA because I've seen their fields. I've seen the distillery. I know the owners. And I've seen the results in myself and all these people. They work. It's not in our heads. It's not snake oil. There's tangible results that you can see and you can feel. If you're looking to get oils, you're ready to start this journey, you're tired of being overwhelmed, you're tired of not having options, you're tired of feeling stuck, I want to share how you can do this right now. So there's two options to get started in doTERRA, to get these oils that are pure and they're safe. First off, you can order retail. The second option, you could order wholesale. Now, most everyone I work with uses the wholesale option because people can usually pay for their wholesale member fee in the savings versus what they would have paid in as retail in their very first order, okay? The thing I like about wholesale is you don't have to have a store, because sometimes people go, oh, wholesale, I don't want to do this as a business. You don't have to. You don't have to have a store. You don't have to buy oils in bulk. You don't even have to buy every month to get this discount. It's just like a Costco or a Sam's Club membership. You pay your $35 membership fee, which is actually less than Costco, I believe. And then you get wholesale prices all year long. Now, if you want to keep that up an additional year, which many people do, so when you have your first year membership expires, you get to re-enroll at a discounted rate of $25 if you choose. You don't have to. You have the option of getting your subsequent second year at $25 plus you get a free bottle of peppermint oil in the process. So it's very, very economical to keep this membership as the years go by. You do not have to order monthly. I'm going to say that again. You do not have to sell oils. You do not have to have parties or classes or whatever. You don't have to. You can. That's what I've chosen to do because I love talking oils, but you don't have to. Wholesale saves you 25% over retail. And I've seen many folks more than pay for the cost of their $35 membership within their very first order. All right? It is the best option that I have found. Now, there's different ways to start with wholesale. You can pay your $35 fee and pick a couple bottles. That's an option. However, there are some bundles, some kits, and I recommend that almost everybody start with a bundle. And here's why. These bundles, there's several, but I picked the one that is most popular with the people I work with. They give you the most common oils in a group. So remember that overwhelmed thing I talked about, or paralysis by analysis? You don't have to worry about that. You've got all the common oils in a group, packaged up, ready to go. In fact, you're going to see most of the oils we talked about tonight in this group. These are the basics, and really, even if you only had these oils, you could get a lot accomplished in your remedies and in your homestead and your barn, your animals, your kids, your cooking, your cleaning. This kit will do it all. What's in the kit? Let me run through that briefly. So first off, frankincense, powerful oil. Lavender, peppermint, lemon, oregano, melaleuca. The digestive blend, aka Digest-Z, we talked about that. The immunity blend, aka On Guard. The respiratory blend, aka Breathe. Remember that was the one I told you to do the weird straw thing with your hands with, okay? And the muscle and joint blend, which is Deep Blue. You also get a diffuser because you gotta have a diffuser. Like, you just gotta have it. You're gonna want one. Everybody who's ever started with a kit that doesn't have a diffuser ends up emailing me 2 weeks later and say, where do I get a diffuser? Because I gotta have one. Okay, it comes with a diffuser, and it comes with that wholesale membership included. So your $35 membership fee is included with this kit. And this little booklet you see here on the screen is actually the intro packet. It has some pamphlets and information in there. Okay, so that's what you get in the Home Essentials kit. This kit is $275, includes everything in here, and it saves you a lot over even just wholesale prices. And so, you know what, I actually forgot to put that on the slide, but I will send it out in an email. The savings you would get buying this in a kit versus buying all these oils individually at wholesale. So it even gives you a deeper discount on top of wholesale pricing. Why is a kit I've told you why the kit is my favorite, but truly the reason I want people to start with a kit is because these are the oils you need that are going to give you that transformation you're looking for. Time and time again, when I see people start with a bottle of this or a bottle of that, they get their lavender, they try it for 2 things, and they put it away. And I don't see them having that empowerment, that transformation, those options that they came into this really seeking. This kit will give you what you need to have an experience with the oils, for the lack of a better word, to have that transformative process where you can actually start using these and not just putting them on your shelf and saying, I have some oils, but I don't know how to use them. This really is a wonderful starter kit for that reason. And in addition to that, I always sweeten the deal a little bit, and it's really important to me that you are confident in these oils, because if you get the kit and you put it on your shelf and never use it, I have failed. I want you to feel confident in opening those lids, using them, and getting results. So to help with that, in addition to that membership, you're going to get a welcome pack from me, just a little envelope. I include some fun stuff in there, some little notes and information. You're going to get a free 30-minute phone consult with a knowledgeable team mentor. And that's not the only contact you get with us, okay? So you get lots of contact with us as much as you want. Maybe you never want to talk to us, that's fine. But I have a lot of people who just need some time with an experienced oil user to figure out how some of these things work. We're going to offer that to you. And you can ask all your questions, how do I dilute? What oil is good for this? What oil is good for that? And so on. We also have a lot of group trainings and support on our team. We have a team Facebook group. We have a private team website. We have continuing education. We have giveaways. We have incentives. We have all sorts of things. No matter, if you're just starting out or you've been using oils for a while, we want you to have success. And I commit that if you start with a kit with me, you will have that. You will have the answers and the options that you need. It's very important to me. It's a huge part of this process. Alrighty, so I know probably a few of you are wondering if I'm going to give anything away today, and I am. I'd like to do that sometimes when people are getting started with oils. My way of saying welcome. And so when you start with a Home Essentials kit or a larger kit of your choice and get your wholesale account set up, I'm going to personally send you 2 of my favorite home remedy products, because the theme of the class is home remedies. And these are 2 things I use a ton on our homestead. I'm never without them. The kids use them, I use them. They're just something we're never without. So these are gonna personally come from me. So you're gonna get your kit in a box, and then you'll get these in a separate box from my actual homestead, like from me. I have some of these sitting here waiting to be sent out, and so that's gonna come straight from me. First off, the On Guard throat drops are amazing. They are the best scratchy or irritated throat remedy that I know of. They have the On Guard blend in them, so they're also really good for your immune system. Um, but they're super soothing at the same time. My kids actually asked for these by name. They love them. They have that cinnamon orange flavor, some natural syrup in there to make them a little bit sweet, and they're just really easy to have in your purse or in a bag, and it's a good way to get On Guard into your system and then soothe your throat at the same time. You're also going to get a tube of Correct X. This is my absolute favorite first aid type of ointment. I have a tube in the house. I have a tube in the barn. I use it a ton on the kids, on the adults in our family, on the animals, you name it. It contains lavender, frankincense, helichrysum, and cedarwood in this ointment base. So it's the oils that we talked about that are great for skin and soothing. And you can make your own salve, but this is just a simpler option. It's in a little tube. You don't have to make it, and it's easy to carry around, and the tip makes it nice for application. So I have a horse that loves to get injured, and she's always getting bit by the other horses or has little owies here and there. And she is well acquainted with Correct X. I use it on her all the time. It is just super handy, and I can't wait for you to try it. So when you start with your Home Essentials kit or equivalent before the end of the month, these are going to come from me. I just need to make sure you start before the end of the month so I can get my post office trips coordinated and make sure I get them out in a timely manner. That's why I have that time limit on there. So I'll send you some emails with the links and just to remind you of the deadline, but make sure that you get started as soon as you can so you get the freebies. You're going to love having these, and I'm excited to send them to you. Alrighty, so to get started, there should be a link across the bottom of your screen, but just in case there isn't, you can go to theprairiehomestead.com/go/oil, and that will take you to the page where I'm just going to go over a little bit of the things we talked about in this class, so you can read through it if you need to again. You'll see the kits there, and you'll get all that information. Just click the Join Now button at the bottom, and that'll take you to this secure page. You can pick your kit, get your payment information in there, and you'll be ready to go. That's automatically going to pair you with my team and myself, so you get all the benefit of our support and all the good stuff that comes with being associated with our group. So I'm so excited for you guys. I think you're going to have so much fun getting these oils into your homestead. Let me know if you have any questions, and hey, thanks for hanging out with me during this class. I had fun teaching it, and I hope you had fun listening. So we'll talk to you soon. Happy oiling.